Alright, welcome to our tutorial on how to add hue saturations and trace out part of your picture in Photoshop. What I've done is I've opened First Class, I opened the Tech9 folder, I located the email that said Miss Cox Photoshop tutorial, and I double clicked the Photoshop tutorial.pst, which brought me to this file right here. Things to note to zoom in, Command plus will zoom you in, Command minus zooms you out. When you have your file open, you're going to be on the layer with the document. All this I just created to show you right now, but you're just going to have this layer with the flower. The tools we're going to be using are the lasso tools. It's the third icon down. 1, 2, 3. The lasso tool is a freehand lasso. How it works is you freehand your shape by literally clicking to start. With your left cursor down, you're literally drawing out the shape. I'm horrible at the freehand lasso, so don't worry if you're not the best, but I'm just going to show you so you get an idea. When you let go, it closes the shape, and you're going to Command C, Command V to put it on a new layer. The polygonal lasso tool works in a way that it clicks, 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 and you slowly click your way around. Every time you click, it makes a new marker. If you do lots of rough clicks, you're going to get a weird shape. But if you just click, 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 and if you're at a curve, go really slowly and do lots of clicks, it'll start looking a little more realistic to what you're doing. When you come back to the beginning of the shape and a circle appears right there, see no circle, circle, no circle, circle, that tells you it's going to close. Click, and it will close. You'll get the marching ants, and you can copy and paste. This meant that I'm not on the flower layer. Okay, so I just say OK, go back to the flower layer, and say Command C, Command V, and I'll get a new petal. The most popular lasso tool is the magnetic lasso tool. How the magnetic lasso tool works is you click once, and you let go of the click, but you move your cursor around slowly around the outside of the petal, and it will slowly create the nodes for you, and you'll be able to have this magnetic trace of your flower petal because it's slowly creating the nodes as you go around. It works best if you're on the actual background layer because that's where the colors that you want are. Again, just copy and paste and you'll get a new petal. With your petals, to add color to them, because right now I have, let's hide this off, I have these 3 petals we just traced, but none of them have color. I want them to start having color like these ones. See? So again, these were ones I traced freehand, kind of messy. The polygonal lasso tool, which is the click, click, click one, gives me a little more space. And the magnetic's usually the most accurate of them all. To add color, you select a layer. So see, here's my layer. If you can't see your layer, just go to Window at the top of your screen and scroll down to Layers, or click the command F7. To add the color, select the layer. So this is my petal at the top of the screen. I highlight it so it's active. I go to Image along the top, Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. I click the box that says Colorize. The hue represents the color. The saturation represents the intensity of the color. It's kind of like going from a neon color all the way to a dull shading of it. No saturation means it's black and white, but if it's low, it just kind of has a medium intensity of the color. If you want it to be neon, you pull that all the way up. Lightness to darkness, you're not going to use this. What it does is it makes your picture a different shading than the rest of your pictures. So unless you do every single one the exact same degree of lightness, it's going to look a little silly. So try and just keep that one at 0. Then click OK, and you have a color petal. So again, to refresh how I did that, I have a layer. Here's my petal on layer 7. I make sure that it's active by clicking on it. I go up Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, turn on the Colorize button or nothing's going to work. And I'm able to add my color, my intensity of the color, and say OK, and I get my color. When I start seeing all these new petals on the original picture, you start seeing it looks like it's turning the picture into color. One thing to note is your layers are very handy. Whatever's at the top is in the foreground. It means it's closest to you. Whatever's in the bottom is in the background. If my solid flower was on top of anything, I wouldn't see everything I traced out because it's in the foreground. It's on top of everything. So I need to make sure that's below all my traced out work. One thing I did is I traced out the entire background, made the entire background green. How I did that and what it will look like is like layer 6 here. The entire thing is green once I turn the layer on. The eyeball was off. Then if I move that right above my background, but behind all my colored petals, you'd start seeing I wouldn't need to trace out the individual spacing of all the background to make it green. If I had all these petals traced out, I could start seeing only green what was showing. How you do that is you grab your background layer, use this rectangle marquee tool, click in the top left corner, and drag to the bottom right corner, and then make sure on the background layer, copy and paste. It will duplicate your background layer. And then again, I just went to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and I made the Colorize button on, and I chose my shade of green, chose the intensity of the green, said OK. And then if I want to add more petals, I go back to layer 2, and I could trace out more petals here. Because eventually what I would like to see is that all your petals are colored and your background is green. So again, knowing that I'm on layer 2, I can Command C, Command V, pull that petal above my green background, go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, turn my Colorize button on, and start adding color to that picture. Notice how it's green? That is because something is on top of it. So good to note. If I move this up, it means there's a layer sitting on top of it here. If I move that up somewhere, whoop, there you go, you'll start seeing my blue petal. Just means I made a green petal in the process by accident. But Image Adjustments, show it to you so you can see that it is there and the color's there. There you go. So see, I didn't see my color changing because it was behind the layer with color. Okay? And the same thing can be done for my central piece, where I have all these kind of colors cutting into it. It kind of looks tacky. If I go back to my layer with just the black and white flower, I can trace out this center here and make this the very top layer so that all the ugly tips of my flower sit behind it. Command C, Command V, and if I put that at the very top, now see how I've got rid of all those ugly edges? And I'll show you with the layer. Such a big difference. Just by having your layers organized, you're able to actually really select what you want to see. There you go. The next step, once you've traced out all your flower petals, is to make your flower petals look realistic. How you do that is you go back to your image menu to Adjustments, and you can use your levels and curves of brightness, contrast. These all affect the color. Brightness to contrast does literally brighter, darker. Okay, I'm on the center piece. And the contrast is the depth of the black between the pieces to increase it or decrease it. Okay, that's brightness contrast. Image Adjustments, levels is you get to choose how intense you want to color. So we're in CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, black. If I know I want more black in this, I could select just the black channel, and I could get rid of the lightness of the black. It can start pulling out. See how it becomes darker now? This is especially good when you're doing skin color in your full color picture. Image adjustment curves works like an elastic band. Again, I can do the whole color mode or just pick one color. But what it does is it becomes an elastic band. It becomes very stretchy. When I go down, it pulls in the colors. When I go up, it pulls up the colors. What it does is, though, now that I've made one marker, both of these are now elastic bands on either side. So you can start making this whole color map to get all the depths of the colors, but still being able to have the intensity of the yellow. I'm just going to save, and when you go File, Save As, make sure you're saving it to your drive. That's the one with your student number, not FCC Temp, so go to your desktop and locate that. And change the format to Photoshop, okay? And then you're just going to hit Save. Once you're done this, you are going to find your own picture and start doing the exact same process on your own picture. You will not be emailing this to me. I don't want to eat up your email space, but you will be showing me in our next class. Have a great Tuesday.